Boker Tov, good morning everybody, 9:30 right here in Rechavia, Nachlaot right here in Yerushalayim. And now we're going to continue the Maamar that we've been learning over the past few weeks. VeYadaata Moskva. We have a new paragraph actually, but it's a continuation to what we've been learning in the past. What have we been learning? We've been learning about the idea of challenges and concealments, which is the opposite of revelation, and that enables for us to step up above the challenges and to be able to grow from the situations which Hashem presents us in front of. Hayotze lanu mikol hanal, the bottom of page Nun Dalid in the Maamar, a new paragraph. Hayotze lanu. What do we have from all of this, what we've learned? What's the bottom line? Hushezeh kol avodat ha'adam, this is the entire service of a person. Liyached havaya ve'elokim, to unify Hashem, which is the Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, and the name of Elokim. V'hu sheyida ne'emana. What does it mean to unify Havaya and Elokim? That a person should know the truth. A person should know the truth, Ne'emana. The Shem Elokim, that the name of Elokim, Eino mastir be'emet al Shem Havaya, does not truly conceal over the name of Havaya. The Shem Elokim hu atzmut orein sof kmo Shem Havaya, because the name of Elokim is also part of the essence of Hashem, just like Shem Havaya is. The Etzem Eino mastir al Etzem, and one essential concept cannot cover over the other essential concept. So in other words, we have a rule in Kabbalah and Chassidus as well, and many Chassidim have adapted this concept, that there's something called Yichud Shem Havaya and Elokim, to unify Havaya and Elokim. Every time we do a mitzvah, that's what we should be having in mind. In fact, there are some people, before every mitzvah, they say as follows: L'shem yichud kudsha brichu ushchintei. Why am I about to do this mitzvah? And I'm about to say the blessing, in order to bring about the yichud, the unification of kudsha brichu of Hashem and the Shekhinah and the divine presence. So what does that mean? Yichud Havaya and Elokim is taking two levels of godliness, which are really the same. But for us, it seems that they're two different levels. One is on many different levels. For example, Havaya and Elokim, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, and then Elokim. Yud K, Vav K is revelation. Elokim is concealment. Kudsha Brichu is a level of revelation. Ushchinte is like Malchus, the Shekhinah, the divine presence. And that's meant to conceal over the revelation of godliness. So what does it mean, yichud? What's the unification all about? Unification is to realize that they're not different. They're all one. They're both one. And the more we can bring ourselves to an understanding that these two seemingly different energies from Hashem, Havaya and Elokim, Kudsha Brichu and Shechinte, are really not different. They're really one and the same. That will help us have more of a revelation in this world. And that's the whole purpose why we're doing the mitzvah, to connect to Hashem, to have more revelation. And so that is really the concept of any time we have this idea of yichud, which is achdut. What happens when there's achdut, when there's unity? Unity means that beforehand there were two separate entities, and then we have achdut, that's unity. When two individuals or two entities do something together, they can accomplish much more than each one can do at their maximum alone. But when they team up together, then they can accomplish much more. If one does 100%, another one does 100%, then together they could do much more than 200%. Because it's the power of achdut, the power of unity. And there are many people who say this before every mitzvah. L'shem yichud kutsha bricho shchinte. In Chabad, we say it only at the beginning of the day. Before Baruch She'amar, we say in the morning davening, Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. So before then we say, L'shem yichud kutsha bricho shchinte. It's Aramaic words from the Zohar, but that's what it means. That the purpose we have in mind once for the entire day, that pretty much every tefillah, every mitzvah, every minute of learning Torah is supposed to accomplish this infinite concept of yichud kudsha brichu shchinte, having this achdut Hashem. And so this is kol avodat ha'adam. It's amazing. This is the opening line that we learned today. Ze kol ha'adam, avodat ha'adam. This is the whole purpose, the whole goal of our service of Hashem, is in order to bring Havaya and Elokim, they should be as one. They are one, but as far as we're concerned, it doesn't seem so. So the more mitzvahs we do, and the more kavanah that we have, hopefully we'll be able to materialize this dream that Hashem has for us, that we should be able to bring into this world as much Gilui Elokut, as much revelation of Hashem as possible. So it continues. The entire creation is from Havaya itself. The Havaya who mehaveh kol hanivraim. Havaya is from the word mehaveh. Mehaveh means to create. All of the creations Hashem creates. V'chol halavushim v'alamot Hashem Elokim, and all of the concealments of the name of Elokim, einam ma'alimim umastirim be'emet. Do not truly conceal over the truth. Ki im adarab, but rather the contrary. Mevi'im et ha'or l'makom namoch yoter. All these concealments bring the light to a lower place. What does it mean, a lower place? A lower place where there's less revelation. When there's less revelation, equals more challenges. Because when there's light, there's no challenge. What's an example of a challenge? When it's totally dark and there's something on the floor, and a person could, God forbid, fall. So if a person falls, why? Because he couldn't see what was happening on the floor. So there needs to be some level of darkness, some level of concealment in order for there to bring about, God forbid, a fall or an injury, God forbid. So therefore, what's the answer? What's the solution? The solution is to light up the room. The more light there is, person won't fall. That's actually one of the reasons why we have, it says in Shulchan Aruch, why we light Shabbat candles. Why we light Shabbat candles before Shabbat? Because since Shabbat is an extra special time for Shlom Bayit, for peace in the house, and in the olden days they didn't have electricity, so the more light there is, the less of a chance there will be that the person will fall and hurt themselves. Therefore, the main place where the Shabbat candles are supposed to be is the place where you eat. Because that's where people sit and eat. And the plan B is where a person sleeps. Either in the room of where a person sleeps, or for example, let's say if you eat out, you eat at someone else's home. So some people will light Shabbat candles at the other person's house because that's where they're going to eat. And that's okay, according to halacha. Or you're going to sleep here, you're going to sleep at your home, so you can light Shabbat candles at home. It doesn't have to be in the room where you sleep. It can be in the place where, in the home where you sleep. Because also people, you're going to come home and you don't want to trample over one another. And so that brings peace into the home. The fact is that beyond the idea of shaloi kashel be'etzu be'evan, that a person should not tumble over themselves over a stumbling block perhaps in the room, there's also the light, the peace, and the special aura that is brought into the home. And that's why it's the mitzvah of the woman to light the Shabbat candles, because she is the one who brings most spirituality and peace into the home. But if for whatever reason there's no woman in the home, either a person is alone, a man is alone, or, for example, the wife is given birth. Let's take a good example, and she's in the hospital with a baby. So if there's a place over there, then hopefully that she can light candles over there. They usually have, especially here in Israel, a special place where women can light Shabbat candles. Even if she does, especially if she doesn't, then the husband needs to light candles at home. Because that's the bare minimum of the halacha, that there should be light in the home. So getting back to our subject, when is there a possibility for there to be a stumbling block, chas v'shalom? When there is a lack of light, a lack of revelation. But when there is light, or when there is or Ein Sof, Havaya, then there's no place for concealment, for stumbling blocks. Which means that also by creations which are limited, Yumshach Bahem or Havaya should be drawn into them, the light of Hashem, Lahavotam, to create them, Ulahachyotam, and to make them alive. Ubechol makom shahu, in any place that he goes, Nimshach lo shefa or v'chayut mishem havaya. Hashem will bring upon the person a tremendous light of Shem havaya. Ulezot, and therefore tzarich liyot davuk umyuchad be'or. It has to be totally connected to the light. The chayut eloki anishbalo, and the light of the light of Hashem, which is being drawn upon him. Lo elaluvushim va'alamot mitzatzman, not for the clothes, quote unquote, and for the concealments on their own. Ki'im, what's the pnimiyut? What's the innermost part of the concealment? El ha'or eloki hanishpa al yadam, the light of Hashem which comes through and after the challenges. Come on, as we'll explain soon even more. Since it's such a sensitive and fragile issue, we need to explain more and more so we should understand, come more to the appreciation of this concept. The kasher ha'inyan ha'ino advekus ha'yichud ba'lo adei nisayon, and when the unification and the attachment comes through the test, harehu ba al yidei zeh od legili or elyon yoter, he can come to even a greater revelation. And that's the revelation of the Or Ein Sof, of the infinite light of Hashem, which is much higher than Teva. So, in other words, the more a person is attached and miyuchad, l'shem yichud, is connected to the light, the less challenges a person can have. I would like to give you a little bit of an example of this concept. You know, we have the shlichut, the emissary work of the Rebbe in the entire world through his shluchim, through his emissaries. And the Rambam states that when a person should really live in a neighborhood, in an environment of frum Jews. Shomer Torah mitzvot. In other words, the test is perhaps too strong if a person lives in a place that there's no kosher food easily, there's no education for the children. A person really needs to live in an environment, in a Torah observant environment. And so the question is, and it's been asked before, how can the shluchim go out to such remote places when they are putting themselves and their family at risk? Really, a person should live in an environment where there is Torah observance. And so, and even there's an example. There's an example which is brought to strengthen the question. That if you have a hot kettle. And it might be very, very hot. But if you take the hot kettle filled with water and you put into a freezing cold bath or a pool, a huge pool, not only is the kettle not going to warm up the pool, but the pool is going to cool off the kettle. So you might have learned in yeshiva in school, and you might be all hot and excited about Yiddishkeit. But the moment that you go into a pool of cold water, and cold represents the concept of, God forbid, being detached from Kedusha. Kedusha, holiness, is warm and inspiring and lively. So isn't that a good example? That really shluchim should consider not living in those places, in remote places. Obviously, it's a shlichus of the Rebbe, so there must be an explanation. It's not like it's not allowed, obviously, because it happens, and Baruch Hashem, there's tremendous success. And that just strengthens the question, that how is it that we see in truth that not only are the shluchim couples not being cooled off, and the children, Baruch Hashem, are staying warm and hot and excited about Yiddishkeit, but also the pool is being warmed up and heated up. Another family is doing Shabbos. Another family is coming closer. Another family is signing up their children for Jewish education. More and more. So not only is the kettle not being cooled off, but it's heating up the entire pool. What's going on over here? Doesn't seem to make any sense. The answer is that when do we say that the kettle becomes cooled off? Only if it's not plugged in to the outlet. But if it's still plugged into the outlet, don't try this at home. If the kettle is still plugged in and you put the kettle into the pool, it will eventually heat up the entire pool. Obviously, we're talking about the heating, which is safe to be in contact with water. So what does that mean? When the shliach is strongly connected to the Rebbe, which is his source, the Meshaleach, the one who sends him out, then he remains close to the Or. He remains close to the light. That's the point that we're saying over here. If a person wants to pick themselves up above challenges, then the key is to be attached as much as possible to the source. Because once you're attached to the source, then not only that you don't get cooled off, but you end up shining to others. You end up becoming a source of inspiration to others. And every one of us, every one of you, can also be part of this amazing magnetic force. Like the Rebbe would say, shliach osa shliach. One shliach brings forth another shliach. And every person can, in their own way, can also be a shliach. Of course, there are certain people that have the zechut, the merit, to be an official shliach. The Rebbe appoints to be a shliach in a certain place. But even someone that does amazing work and has a family and does their own profession, but being in touch with a Bet Chabad and helping others benefit from the Bet Chabad is something which is so beautiful and very precious. So that's the idea of Yichud Havaya and Elokim, to try to bring the revelation of Havaya, that it should shine through Shem Elokim. Now we're going to start answering the question that we asked a few weeks ago. Are you ready? Are you holding on? VeYadaata, and now tzarich lahavin shaychut inyan VeYadaata. Now we have to understand, and now we'll understand better the concept of VeYadaata. And you should know, ki havaya hu Elokim, that havaya is Elokim liyitziat Mitzrayim u'knisat haaretz, to coming into Mitzrayim and going into Eretz Yisrael. all the way in the beginning, we started talking of this Maamar. We started talking about the verse VeYadaata hayom v'shivota l'Elecha in Parashat VeYadata. And right before then, it talks about going out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu reminisces what happened about going out of Mitzrayim and coming into and telling them they're about to go into Eretz Yisrael. And it seems to be that through going out of Mitzrayim and going into Israel, that a person will come to the knowledge and understanding that Havaya and Elokim, the two great names of Hashem, are truly all one, like the Zohar says. What's the connection? Why does the Torah imply that the two are connected? However, the concept is it says in the great Kabbalistic Sefer Priyetz Chaim, the Yisrael shahayu b'shiabud Mitzrayim hayu gilgulei hanashamot shel dor haflaga. It says in the Kabbalah that the souls of the Jews who were in Mitzrayim were a gilgul. I think the word is incarnation of souls from the Dor HaFlaga, from the generation of those after the Mabul, after the flood. There were those that wanted to build a building and wage war on Hashem, and Hashem spread them out, and they automatically spoke different languages. So these were the same souls that came later on into Am Yisrael that they had to do slave labor in Mitzrayim. What's the connection? There's got to be a connection. The hashiabud b'chomer olveinim, and the work with the lime and tar, hayaletaken chet vatilam havena le'even. It was to fix their sin of what it says that they, by the Dor HaFlaga earlier, they wanted to build this big building, and the levena was a stone. The bricks were like stones. That's what it says in the Torah. So they had to work hard. That's one of the concepts of the Arizal, that there's Gilgul Neshamot, that the souls have to do reincarnation in order for the Neshama to fix tikkun, to fix things which the person may have missed while they were here in this world. So in order to understand the connection, first you have to understand what was the sin of Dor HaFlaga. What was so wrong with what they did? What did they want to do? They wanted to gather together, and they wanted to have safachat, one language, to be one unity. It sounds sort of nice and inspirational that they had a genius plan. The whole world is going to have one language. We're all going to talk. We're all going to think the same, talk the same, do the same, everything. Doesn't that sound nice? What does haflaga mean? The generation of the haflaga. Haflaga comes from the word of argument. Pluga, a certain unit. So the simple meaning of what they did wrong was they wanted to fight against Hashem. So you could have the best thing in the world. You could have all of the achdut and the unity and the wonderful inspirational feelings. But if it's against Hashem, then it's a no-no. It can't be good. On a deeper level, what happened with the Haflaga? They wanted to separate. What did they want to separate? According to the Kabbalah, between Shem Havaya and Shem Elokim. The name of Havaya and the name of Elokim. That's the opposite of what we've been talking about up until now. We've been talking about Yichud Shem Havaya and Elokim. The unification of Shem Havaya, the name of Havaya and the name of Elokim. And that's the purpose. There should be more Gili Elokut, more revelation of godliness. And what did they try to do? The opposite, to separate it. It was almost like holy words. Havaya, wonderful. Let it remain on high and all the revelation in the higher realm. But for us down here, we don't want that stuff over here. We don't want the revelation of. What do you mean we don't want it? That's the exact opposite of the purpose of why we're here. V'inyan hapirud hu k'shechoshev she'Hashem Elokim master chas v'shalom be'emet l'Hashem Havaya. That the Shem Elokim thinks that the person thinks that Shem Elokim really conceals over Shem Havaya. U'memela yachshov shekol ha'naaseh ba'olam hu m'Shem Elokim. And so he'll think that everything that happens in this world is really from Shem Elokim, Atzmo itself. That's the concept, God forbid. But this is what some of the generations thought, that Hashem left the land. He created it, wonderful, but he left. What do you mean he left? He left over here, Hashem Elokim. But Havaya, he went back. He's too busy. He doesn't have time for this world. And it's exactly the opposite. And therefore, this person that tries to separate between Havaya and Elokim, that person tries to make the concealments the main thing. So he gives himself over, so to speak, to the external part of the world, of the natural world. And that holds him back from godliness. Okay, I think we'll stop here for now. And in tomorrow's class, we'll continue B'ezrat Hashem. And then we have Kabbalah Cafe. So please tune in tomorrow morning so we can complete this concept as much as possible. And then we look forward to seeing you for Kabbalah Cafe. And of course, Shabbat morning. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. So stay tuned to your WhatsApps and emails. B'ezrat Hashem. All the best. Have a great day.